Well, greetings and good evening. It's Sunday evening. It's the 29th of June. I'm in my favourite, on my favourite seat on the bench there, overlooking my owl, Sirius, who's collecting food for the babies. I'm not sure the female's around. I'm sure she is, but Sirius seems to be doing the work. But they're doing okay. And I got Smudge here, the cat's got Dotty Doo, Al the alpaca, and it's been really hot. I was talking about the sheep and that yesterday, weren't we, in the heat and shearing, but it's been exceptionally hot today, 30, and it's going to be even hotter tomorrow. So officially, we're in a heat wave. I think if it's over 28 for 3 days or something, it's classed as a heat wave. It is difficult, in the heat, and for all ages, especially if you're working, you have air conditioning, but we're not a country set up for air conditioning. But Sirius has just gone inside, rush hour door with some food. But yeah, it gets me thinking, I'm so pleased that we got the sheep to be sheared on Thursday, this coming Thursday, in Al the alpaca. And that takes a little bit of worry, because there is a lot of worry on the farm, because a lot of that you control. If you had lots of money, you could probably say to a sheep shearer, I'll pay you whatever it takes. But of course, they tend to go for the bigger flocks because they make more money from them. So we're left to the end. But our shearer is really good, Chris. He's amazing, takes care. We're not here on a commercial basis. And you'll get to see some of this very soon. He's just come back out with some food. Serious at the hours. So the heat is controls so much for farming, and also for animals. Those of you who've got animals there will know that they need the shade. They need plenty of cool water, like us humans, really. But sometimes, especially the Brits, we tend to be out in the midday sun working away. Where sometimes, like now, I can have a few hours quiet in the afternoon and come out in the evening and work to 10 o'clock in good heat. But I do worry about animals and droughts across the world. We've all seen that those images from places like Africa where the animals have just got no water. And it really saddens me. There's a lot we could do. There's water around. We have so much water. The sea is 2/3 is salt water, but there's ways of processing that, and underneath the underwater rivers. Yes, it's the management of it. But it sort of takes me back, really. I remember, I grew up on the farm. We had dry spells, and those dry spells were sort of worrying because the crops stopped growing. The grass can burn up. I've seen the fields, and I'll talk about 76 in a moment, which is one of our hottest summers on record. The grass, it just burns up. It doesn't look like there's anything out there. And eventually when the rains do come, it all shoots back up. So it knows how to survive. But for the animals, they still need feeding. And I know a lot of times that we've had to use some of our winter feed to feed our animals during a very hot spell. And back in 76, it was quite exceptional, the heat we had. It went on and on and on with very little food being grown, I think burning up. It was good if you could enjoy it, and a lot of people obviously make use of it and get in swimming, and if you get into the sea or into swimming pools, outdoor swimming pools, it's lovely. But there's work still to be continued, and on the farm that continues. I remember back in 76, I do go on a lot about it if you know me, because my dad, he enjoyed taking his shirt off and soaking up a bit of sunshine, and he was sensible enough not to work in the real heat. But we were noticed when it got dry that in our top field, which is called was a 10-acre field by the house, the old farmhouse, there was a patch there which my Uncle Ivor, was ploughing, and he hit a big slab, which was basically the top of a well. And it was like, wow. And this was quite a distance from the house. It's job to explain without, I don't even know how much distance, but no, it didn't seem to have a well that was close to the farmhouse. So I got a well in our little cottage, which is outside, but it's all filled up with muck. But this one was discovered by my dad and my uncle, and we opened it up. It was filled up with stuff. Yeah, bricks, rubble, mud, bits of tin, glass, a lot of things that you don't really want to see. So my dad had a good idea that we should empty it. Who did he choose to empty it? It was myself. So I got down there and into the well, which wasn't huge initially. It sort of tapered down. And I filled up a bucket, which was on a piece of string. My dad would pull it up and put it into a trailer, half expecting there to be some treasure there, but as far as I can remember, there's no treasure. A few bones. They weren't human bones, thankfully. So we spent a lot of time, and I remember my dad up there, soaking up the sun. Sadly, he would be smoking at the same time. He was a smoker, but anyway, it was a time really, and he was chilling, enjoying the sunshine. And we would spend a couple of hours a day emptying it, bucket by bucket. And it got deeper and deeper, it got wider and wider. And of course, I had to try to avoid things that fell out of the bucket because sometimes the bucket would slip. And it was quite cold down there because the ground temperature obviously is a lot cooler. So I had a ladder, and the ladder got deeper and deeper, it got down. And it was like, oh my goodness, I was freezing down there, and go out there and you hit the heat. So my dad was determined to get it cleaned out, thanks to myself. And bit by bit, we got down towards the water level. And there was water down there, I think 20 feet deep, if I remember. But there was water, so we got to the water level, and I went beyond it, as you do, standing in cold water, clearing it out. And we noticed there was a pipe inside which was connected, which went up the wall halfway and across towards our house, or the farmhouse. And we did discover that there was a pipe all the way into the farmhouse. So yes, I was down there a lot of time. My memories of the hot summer was in doing that. But on the positive side, we also have a great big pond. I was very much keen for keeping fish, and each time my ponds got bigger and bigger, and I got my uncle to dig a big pond, which we lined that summer. We filled it with water, and we used to jump in. It was ranging from about 3 feet down to about 6 feet deep. It was huge. A lot of water in it, and on harvest, you just jump in there, and just to cool off. Now, eventually, I got the pond done out, and it was for koi carp and golden north. But that is a different story, my passion for fish. So 76 was, trying to get this well open, covered in, little squirrels here, little lambs saying, "Chris, feed me." And so we got it sorted. He contacted someone who came up with a pump that we could pump some water out. But that was into September, and by the time we got it all set up, the rains came, and we didn't really need it again because we are quite a wet land. And the well does fill up in the winter right to the top. And Julie and Perry, who lives there now, they keep an eye on it. And the well is always got water in there. And we were told we were going to have a borehole in. So we had someone to have a look around to eventually put a borehole in. So basically we could pump water up for the farm. My dad turned it down because it was too expensive. But the bloke who came here said you could drill down anywhere. There'll be big reservoirs of water underneath us. So that's quite interesting. So it does make you wonder why they had that well that far away. Maybe there were some buildings over there at some point. It's always interesting with history. And I said, so that was a summer of 76. But we've had dry times since. A few years ago, we had quite a hot summer. And again, you had that problem with the grass burning up. But you do what you do to keep cool. And I remember with Zoe, who used to come down, we put some bells together and we made like a swimming pool out of the big bells. And used to sit in that to cool down. And yes. But water is very important for the animals to drink. And of course, a shade as well. And same with the sheep. I know I said to people, we share the sheep, but we still have to give them shade, because you imagine all of a sudden that someone took all your clothes off. This is probably not sounding quite right, but you know what I mean. If we've been used to wearing clothes and we were covered from the sun, and all of a sudden our clothes were taken off and we were wandering around naked, which is not a pretty sight. But I guess when it's so hot, you don't really worry. But you're going to get burnt, and sheep can get burnt as well. So you have to keep an eye on them and don't shear them and just put them out in the midday sun to get themselves burnt. So we had a good fun just recently with the team. On Friday, Kirsty comes down, our singer, and she's a beautiful lady, very talented, and also she's a bit crazy. And I threatened to have a water fight. And Claire, she's always up for a water fight. And Lorna, who's quite a new member of our team, just goes with the flow. And we ended up getting very wet. And I did set them up. And they were spraying water around, and I came out with a big bucket and jerked over them. But they expect it from me. I would never do anything to hurt or offend them or something. It's having a laugh. And up with the grandchildren today, and a lot of water was involved there with sprinklers and a bubble machine. It is very tiring, because obviously trying to sleep through the heat is not wonderful. And I have to tell you about my Africa visits. I suppose it's naive going to Africa and know it's going to be hot. But it's a different heat. You hear it a lot, but it's true. The heat is so different. And, you can more bearable, especially along the side of the east coast and the Indian Ocean. But it's so intense heat. I'll have one little story. I remember going to Kenya first with Ellie, and it was a package holiday, and we made friends, and everybody, was probably a first time going to a place called Voyager, a very lovely hotel, all inclusive, lovely staff on Nyali Beach near Mombasa. And we got off there, and I remember a mother and a daughter going for a walk along the beach. No sun cream, no protection at all. It felt nice. You had a bit of a breeze, but they came back, and that night they blistered up, and for the rest of the holiday they really struggled. If I go to Kenya, I do go to Kenya, I tend to keep pretty much covered up with very sort of cottony clothes. So it's very airy, very light. And do you really need to get a suntan? Not really. The sun's good for you. I know it's good in lots of ways, but you can have too much. And I know a lot of my friends just cook themselves on sunbeds or go out in the sun. I couldn't stay long enough. The longest I've ever stood still is when I'm doing this podcast. But even then, quite often I'm feeding an animal or just doing something as I'm talking. But to sit out in the sun and roast, yes, not my cup of tea. So yeah, sun, heat, it's going to last a few days, but I'll be happier when we get the sheep sheared, the alpaca sheared, and I'll be happy when we get our hay done, because we've got to think about the winter now. As hot as it is, you've got to start preparing food for the winter for the animals, because time goes on. We're going to be in July next week, and hopefully we will have a baby donkey from Nutmeg. Now, Nikki, who sponsors Nutmeg, her birthday is on Tuesday, the 1st of July. So I'm hoping that maybe it will be, a little baby born then. But as long as it's healthy, then once the baby's born, I think I can get a bit more sleep. But I don't really rest at the moment because half of me is thinking, I better just go and check to see if Nutmeg's okay. So I go out at midnight. I stay up to midnight. I go out, check, then go to bed briefly for 4 hours, if that, and I wake up and away I go again. So maybe I need a hammock. It's just here for an hour's little rest. But even then, I probably wouldn't rest then. Well, nice talking about the heat, and I'm hoping that you cope with it okay. And I know it's a problem. It's being sensible, isn't it? And looking after